So, this is Tamara, and we are going to be talking together about some things that she is wanting to talk about. And during the session, you'll be hearing, hopefully, you'll be hearing the miracle question, scaling questions, and that's all part of solution focused therapy, and then some narrative therapy, talking about externalizing the problem. And then I've also got some mindfulness exercises if we have time that I may talk to her about. So we're just going to get started and see where it leads us. So, all right. Well, Tamara, thank you for, I can't do this without laughing.
It's okay.
I'm going to have to really edit this. So thank you for coming. Thank you for being here, first of all. It's awesome to have such a best friend here to help me. And so this is part of one of my last classes, and so I'm really excited that you get to be part of it.
Me too.
So basically, we're going to use this just kind of like if you were coming in to talk to a therapist about something that's really bothering you in your day-to-day life, especially just anything that is just causing you anxiety. It's maybe causing you even depression, causing maybe problems with your family, just anything like that that you can think of that you want to talk about.
Okay.
So we'll start off like that. So have you thought about any kind of subject that you'd like to talk to me about?
Yes, my job.
Okay. So tell me first of all, where do you work?
I work at a trucking company. Should I say the name of it?
If you want to.
People's Cartage. And we are a trucking company warehouse.
Okay.
And we warehouse product for a bunch of different other companies. We don't manufacture or develop anything. We just store other people's stuff.
Okay.
So other companies' stuff. So, and we store anything from literally tomato paste that goes to restaurants all the way to little plastic beads that are turned into syringes.
Okay.
And the tubing that goes for lines that are put in your arms and stuff.
Like medical tubing?
Yes, thank you. Thank you, medical tubing. So, yes.
Okay. Awesome. And what do you do there? What's your job role?
I am the receiving and shipping clerk.
Okay.
So they call me the CSR, customer service rep. And it's an extremely stressful job because I, at any one time, can have 5 men standing around me.
Oh, gosh.
And hovering over me, asking me for questions, paperwork, or something. Everybody thinks, well, it's just paperwork. Well, that gets a little intimidating when you have 5 people, regardless if they're men, women, children, they're all staring at you going, what do we do? Can you fix this? Can you do this? Can you do that? I need paperwork. And it gets a little, it's a little stressful. And that part of it, I'm actually dealing with okay. When I first came into this company, I was hired on as a part-timer, which I was excited about because I really didn't want full-time work. I had noticed that my stress levels were not conducive to full-time work.
Okay.
And we were doing okay, that I just needed a little bit of a part-time job just to supplement our income, and I'd be okay. Well, that part-time job, they found out that I could actually do stuff.
Oh.
And that, wow. I went to full-time very quickly.
Okay.
I was still with our transportation. We have basically 2 sections. We have the warehouse and we have transportation. And I was in transportation and helping out the warehouse. Now, my husband works at the same facility in the warehouse.
Okay.
And his boss, Tammy, was the warehouse clerk. She was doing my job.
Okay.
And so they decided, okay, well, I picked up on all the computer systems. They've said a couple times that I'm the only person that knows all the computer systems in the company.
Well, that's gotta feel good.
Kinda. Anybody has any problems, it's Tamara. Well, one day, I mean, I was doing really good in transportation. I was really excited. They were talking about teaching me more about transportation, more about the trucking aspect,
Mhm.
dispatching, things like that, brokering the loads and stuff. And I was really excited about this. And that was my last, um, what do you call it when they review?
Mhm.
My last review
Mhm.
with them. And I walk in one day and I'm called into a meeting and everybody's sitting there. And the head guy says, Tamara, you're going to be the shipping clerk now. Tammy, you've been promoted. You are now the regional manager. And this is the change. Okay, thanks. Bye, everybody.
Wow.
It was just like that.
Okay.
So I went from being excited about a job to
Mhm.
dreading my job.
Oh.
And Tammy had always told me, well, you should come and work at my job. And I always told her, I never want your job.
Mhm.
I see how stressed out you are.
Mhm.
I know how late you stay.
Mhm.
I don't want your job.
Mhm.
Well, I had become good friends with her.
Mhm.
She's like my Ohio best friend.
Mhm.
And that was working out well because I was over here, she's over here, my husband's over here with her. So it was working out okay. It was still a little touchy because I'm best friends with my husband's boss.
Mhm.
So you got to watch what you say. It's not like you and I can say
Right.
anything to you. I can tell you anything.
Right.
And I don't have to worry about, are you going to go back on my family or
Mhm.
anything like that.
Mhm.
Tammy's not that way. And
Okay.
she's the type of person, she's atypical, I think personality is it. She's very drawn in. She lives by herself. She's happy by herself.
Mhm.
When it comes to just trying to give you a little idea of what Tammy's like,
Mhm.
at work,
Mhm.
she is the worst job or worst boss I have ever come across.
Oh wow, that's interesting.
But at home and out of work, she's the nicest person you'd ever meet. You and I, us three would get along crazily. We
Mhm.
would laugh and have a good time. But at work, she's horrible.
Mhm.
She, somebody told her at some time that she had to be the worst person to get ahead. She's, and part of me understands because she's working. This
You
is
mean somebody in her life has told her that before?
yes,
Okay.
yes. She's got a very strong uh, personality mother, and her father doesn't seem very kind, but she's extremely devoted to her father.
Mm.
Very devoted. She adores him. We went to a. I know I'm branching out.
No,
I'm
you're
digressing
fine.
horribly.
No.
We went to a cookout at
Mhm.
her house. It's the first time I've ever seen her with her dad, met her dad.
Mhm.
And she sat there and he would mumble something and she would just start laughing.
Hmm.
There was no joke,
Mhm.
but it was, and it wasn't a uncomfortable laugh.
Mhm.
It was a nervous, I'm scared to death of this man laugh.
Wow.
And when I saw that, I was like, okay,
Mhm.
I'm understanding a little bit here.
Mhm.
She's been married and divorced 4 times.
Mm.
And I psychologically and as
Mhm.
just another human being, you see
Mhm.
something's not right here.
Right.
And so getting to know her and everything was fun, and she
Mhm.
was a nice person, but at work she's and so it's very bipolar
Mhm.
way of working,
Okay.
and almost to the point of, and I don't know what the condition, I always say schizophrenic, but I don't think that's it. Pathologic. She's, when, we have a employee of the month
Mhm.
thing, and her response is, why do they get a reward for doing their job?
Oh. Okay.
Does that,
Yeah. So she just automatically thinks that you should just be doing your job and there should be no rewards involved.
correct?
Yeah.
No compliments, no
Mhm.
nothing.
Mhm.
And
It's probably how
what do
she
you
grew
need to,
up.
exactly.
Mhm.
And after meeting her parents,
Mhm.
it helped me understand some things that we were going through.
Right.
So go back to that day.
Mhm.
Tammy did not understand what her job requirements were with her promotion. And at this point, I'm not even sure if she knew she got the promotion. I can't remember if he said Tammy's being this.
Right.
Basically, he just said Tamara's going to be sitting with Tammy. I thought me and her were going to be a team and do this job. And she goes, well, I don't even know. I don't even have 8 hours a day of work to give you. I have no idea what's going on.
So she misunderstood it anyway.
And I looked at her and I said, am I losing my job? Do I need to go look for another job? I was devastated. I didn't know. And her anger, it was anger towards me, was thick. But she's the type that goes, why would I be angry? What are you talking about? Why do you think I'm mad at you? Facial expression, tone of voice, body language. You know me, I read people quite well. And she's the type that can make even me say, I think I'm losing my mind. I'm not sure, but I think I've lost my mind, and I'm imagining all kinds of things now. Only at work. We get off work, we go have dinner, we laugh, we talk about work. It's a completely different person. Very odd relationship. Very odd relationship. So when she started training me, she, here's my best friend. I want to look good for her. So I already care about the way I do my job. I'm very conscious of how I do my job. And already. So now I've got that extra load of stress.
Yeah.
And I should do it over here because she sat behind me.
Oh, gosh.
Doing that wrong.
Oh.
You miskeyed that. There's a T in that word. For a year.
For a year?
A year.
Wow.
Because guess what Tamara started going through at the exact same time all this was happening? Menopause.
Oh.
I lost my mind. It got lost in UPS somewhere. I don't know where it went. It finally got delivered just a few weeks ago. And honest to God, a couple months ago, I started feeling better. It was like all of a sudden I got my brain back and I can remember things again. But and God bless her, that could be why she did that, because here's her friend that she watched go through this, get things like this, things like this, and all of a sudden I can't remember how to spell a word, let alone do what she's told me to do. I'm writing notes furiously. I've already got a book of notes. So I'm trying to do shorthand, short notes that I can stick everywhere. My poor computer looked like sticky, the Post-it note heaven. I had Post-it notes everywhere, to the point that I looked and went, I forgot where I put my note. I'm sitting there for 5 minutes looking at all my notes, trying to figure out what I'm supposed to do next.
Right.
So, yeah, that's been fun. So there was level upon layer, or layer upon layer upon layer of everything that was going on. And finally, she got her promotion and her duties. And she was scared to death to leave me. And understandably, I was constantly asking her questions. I was constantly leaning on her. And as a employee boss situation, I understood where she was coming from. But at the same time, a kind word here and there may have helped.
You needed to hear some
but
information.
I didn't hear any of that. If I tried to make a joke, she looked at me deadpan and said, we gotta work. And it was very stressful. Unfortunately, I'm a needy person and I need some encouragement.
No, I think that everyone needs some encouragement. I wouldn't call yourself needy.
Okay. We won't do that.
Not when it comes to that. Not when it comes to that. I I think it's human
Other
nature to
things
be-
now we won't get into.
Well, we can't talk about on this video right now. So,
No, but
yeah.
so that's been quite stressful. So then she was promoted, and I finally started getting things better and was able to not lean on her so much, and still having to call her. And it got to last August. My stress level poureth over, and I had had enough. And I went to her and I told her I'm putting in my 2 weeks notice. And
This is August?
Yeah.
Okay.
And I told her, and I said, if you need more time, that's fine. I'll stay as long as you need me till you get somebody. And she says, well, before I turn this in, I want to talk. I said, okay. So I waited for her one day, and she came, or that day, she came back to work, and we were outside smoking cigarettes and stuff and talking. And she asked me, what's wrong? And I says, I feel very ineffective. I feel like I'm a disaster. I don't feel that I'm doing a good job at all for you, for me, and I'm done. I'm just so stressed out. And then the tears came, of course, because menopause is a wonderful thing like that. 1 minute you're okay, and the next minute you're bawling your eyes out. That's wonderful.
Well,
And
that was a pretty emotional topic, though, too.
Yeah, it was. Well, yeah, I'm telling my best friend that I'm quitting, and I know she's going to be strapped now.
Yeah.
So, and this is my husband's boss too. So I'm like, I had to be very careful. And we had just come back from here from a visit. And on the way home is when I told Glenn, I says, I'm going to write up a paper and give her a chance to see what she says. And it was so funny because during the time, she's trying to figure out what's wrong, and I'm telling her, but she doesn't want to hear it. And she goes, well, if you're looking for a raise, and I looked at her and I says, money has nothing to do with it. I'm actually quite comfortable with my hourly wage. I feel that it's a fair amount for the work that I do. That bowled her over. That's when her eyes got very big. She shut up and she sat down. And she looked at me and she says, okay, what do you need? And I says, at that time, I didn't know. How do you tell your friend, you're the worst boss ever. I need you to lighten up a little bit because I can't take any, the stress of best friend, boss to my husband is getting too much. And I threw in there that, it's stressful working with Glenn because I'm one-on-one with him now. I used to be over here. Okay. We'd see each other at lunch. I didn't interact with him at all. Now I'm right there next to him.
Oh, wow.
I'm telling him what to do, where to go, how to do it. That's stressful.
Yes.
And not where I wanted to be at all. And I turned down 4 different positions in the company to stay with transportation because of what my review said that they were going to teach me about transportation. I refused 3 other positions that I could have taken, that I would have been away from her and away from Glenn.
And they haven't taught you what?
And, well, he didn't need me. He didn't want me in transportation. Okay. He shoved me into warehousing and got up and walked out back to that meeting.
Okay, yeah.
So that's why I told you about that, because that all correlates with all of this.
Right.
So
I'm sorry. For some reason, like the words transportation and warehouse, they got it intertwined in my head.
It's okay. It's very confusing. Yeah. Transportation is the trucking side. Warehousing is the storage side.
Gotcha.
So that's where I'm at now. That's where Glenn works at too. So Glenn being my husband, for video sake.
Yeah. Okay, we're good.
So then, she asked me, she goes, will you give us 3 months? Give us 3 months and we will address this again in 3 months and we'll go from there. And if it hasn't gotten any better, then I will respectfully take your notice and go on. She tried to tell me, it's really hard out there. You're not going to be able to get a job that quick. Well, my mom's place of work was hiring, and they were actually hoping that I would come. And I knew that, but I didn't say anything.
Yeah.
And
so how long has it been since you had the conversation with her?
That was in August.
Okay.
So it's
been
April now. So
it's been quite a while.
6 months. We never readdressed it.
Okay.
We never had an official meeting.
Okay.
So, but we go out to eat and we talk and stuff. And and it's funny because I know she called her boss, and I know that he may have helped her explain things to her. Greg Hughes is a very big man, but he's extraordinarily good at his job. And big, deep voice, he talks and you can hear him miles down the road. And I have great respect for him because he treated me respectfully. When I had questions, he answered every question, and he did not act like they were stupid questions. He just propped his feet up on the desk, said, "Okay, what you got?" Yeah. And I milked him for everything I could.
Yeah, of course.
Because I've worked in warehouses before, but not management side and not supervisory side. So I was very interested in certain questions that I had, and he was very nice to sit there and answer every one of them. And he loves music, so he always tries to beat people on who sung what at what year.
Oh.
He's one of those.
One of those.
Yeah. So he is her direct boss, and I know that she went and talked to him because she always tells me that's what happens. And the next day, I think that was a Friday, so the next Monday that we came to work, she was a lot lighter. She lightened up a lot. But my attitude changed. I had been broken, and so I was going to flee. She asked me not to, so I stood up a little bit straighter, a little more confident in myself, and a little more, I don't care. So things started coming out of my mouth that I was holding back for a very long time. She has a habit of, no matter what decision I make, regardless of what it was, she corrected me. Well, I would have done this. Well, I would have done that. And I'd gotten tired of that. That's one of the reasons why I felt like I couldn't do anything right. I was making every decision I made was wrong. So I even tested it out. There was a situation, and maybe this was bad of me, but I had to prove to myself what she was doing. There was a situation, and there was 2 possible things. So I called her because I got to call her to make sure. And I told her the 2 things. And I says, well, I was thinking about this, and before I could finish the sentence, she goes, well, that's not what I would have done. I would have done this. And I said, well, it's a good thing I did that then. And that was my own little test. And she got very quiet on the phone.
So her reaction was just to get quiet.
Because she knew. I think she knew exactly what I had just done. And I caught her in it. Yeah. And so anymore, that's what I do. If there's two different decisions, I'll start with the one that I did not choose, just to see what she will say.
Okay.
And usually it works out. And this is where I say the A personality or the narcissist type of personality. Yeah. She's got to be right. And I watch her interact with other people. And this is what kills me and Glenn both. Glenn got very upset. That was the other dynamic of all this.
Mhm.
So my husband is there, right there, watching all this happen, watching me go home every night crying, and he is very mad at his boss. And so now I'm having to calm him down and tell him don't say anything, don't lose your job over me because I'm having problems dealing with this woman.
Right.
And so there was another layer of all this on there. So there was that stress of trying to keep Glenn calm and not say something, spout off to his boss about the way she's treating his wife. And wow.
Does she treat
What
him
a-
that way? Does she treat him or the
No,
others
and
that way?
that's what cracked all of us up.
Mhm.
All the guys. And I told Glenn, I said, I feel like I'm absolutely
Mhm.
losing my mind.
Mhm.
I feel like I'm misunderstanding her. Maybe the
Mhm.
menopause has got me more emotional, and I'm really not. I'm really misreading stuff.
Mhm.
And Glenn and Justin and all the other workers said, "No, you are
Okay.
not misreading this. There is something very strange going on here." And they watched how she treated me, and then she would turn around and say, "Hi, Glenn, how you doing?"
Oh wow.
If he made a mistake, and I mean a major, we cost the company.
Mhm.
It's all right. Let's get the forms filled out. It's all good. Really? You had to do that? When they would make a mistake, well, why'd they do that, Tamara? I don't know, Tammy. That's the other thing she kept telling me throughout the time that she was training me, that I'm just the paper person.
Oh.
That's all my job is to make sure the papers are done and
Mhm.
done correctly. So I clung onto that for a long time.
Mhm.
I don't know, Tammy, why don't you call them
Mhm.
and find out? Because I'm just responsible for the papers.
Mhm.
I'm just a customer service rep. I am not a
Mhm.
supervisor. I'm not a manager at all. So, and that was stated to me very sternly.
Mhm.
So, anyways, I lost where I was at.
You're fine. I was going to ask you. So she doesn't treat the others that way. Are there any other females that she's in charge of?
Yes,
And how about the other females? Does she have
there
problems with
is
them?
one that I know of that she's treated like she does me, and that's Janie at our other facility.
Mhm.
And Janie is the sweetest, tiniest lady you'll ever meet. The reason why Tammy treats her that way, and she's told me, is because Janie's not very good at her job.
Mhm.
She's been with the company for over 25 years,
Mhm.
since she was a young girl.
Mhm.
And the company respects her and has kept her on, even though the job that she first was hired for and did very, very well, it's gone. That part
Mhm.
is gone. It's been closed down.
Right.
So she decided that she wanted to go for management at our other facility. Well, and this is where I believe that it's Tammy's training methods.
Mhm.
Janie, yes, she had been working there for years, but she didn't know all the ins and outs of the job. So she needed training.
Mhm.
Well, Tammy just kept getting more and more frustrated with her. And it's like, yeah, she was there, but she did not do that job on a daily basis.
Right.
She needed trained.
Right.
She needed her hand held. And that is an impossibility for Tammy. She does not understand hand holding in any way, shape, or form.
Mhm.
She should be able to tell you the sentence and you go off and do it.
Right.
And that's all there is to it. This is where I think her father dynamics come in,
Mhm.
because that's the way he did it. She's told me a few stories, and it's just like, oh damn, that was harsh.
Yeah.
That was very harsh. And her other siblings seem to be okay. So, which makes you wonder if it was an abusive situation where he chose one child,
Mhm.
where I think we've all seen that.
Right.
You know, you have 3 kids, 2 of them are absolutely fine, the third one is
Mhm.
beat all to hell and back.
Yeah.
Well, mental abuse is
Mhm.
horrible.
Well. Yeah.
And I think that may be her end of it. That she was chosen for the mental abuse. He
Mhm.
he says jump, and she says, "How high?"
Mm.
My daddy. Very mommy dearest type of thing going on. It's really strange. And the more I talk to her, the more I get to know her, the more she tells me. She doesn't talk very much, even when we're out on a just a dinner, having a good
Right.
time. I feel that, and I talk a lot. I know that, but I'll shut up because I know. Okay, stop. Give her a chance. We'll sit in silence. We will sit in silence. So I have to keep asking her questions and asking her questions. If she does talk about something, I'm like, oh, she's talking. And I'll start asking questions to get her to talk more,
Yeah.
I get excited. Oh, she's talking.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I've been around people like that.
Yeah.
Okay, well, let me it's not really switching gears, but let me ask you a question. This is called the miracle question.
Okay.
And this is just basically if you were to close your eyes and to imagine that you go to sleep tonight, and when you wake up in the morning that you, whatever you're having trouble with, basically you talk about your job and the stress you're dealing with, is changed and it's exactly the way you have always dreamed it could be. How would you know that miracle had happened? What would be different? What would you see? What would be the things around you or the people around you? How would people?
I'm
be
still
different?
at the same job.
Yeah.
Okay.
We're gonna
I just want to make sure.
Well, you know what? No. Let's say you wake up tomorrow and things are perfect for you. How would you know that this miracle has happened and your life is now perfect?
See, and I deep think too much.
It doesn't have to be the
I
same job.
overthink stuff too much because
It's okay.
I start, okay, I would love this,
Mm-hmm.
but that means this would happen, this would happen, this would happen, this would happen. It's the domino effect.
Mm-hmm.
I'm always looking at that last domino. How is this first domino going to affect that last domino? Okay. So that's where Tammy even tells me, you're thinking too much on this. You need to stop thinking too much. Okay, I'll stop thinking. Okay, just go do it.
Would it be easier to answer the question if we said you were at the same job, but things were...
Yes, let's just do that.
All right, so you're at the same job, but when you wake up, you don't feel the stress. You don't have the stress anymore. You can walk around and you can breathe, breath of relief. How do you know that these miracles have happened around you?
I have somebody there to help me.
Okay.
And Tammy has actually joking with me or smiling with me more.
Okay.
But that's her personality, and how do you change a personality?
Well,
now in our faith, we both know how you do that. But but without that faith, I mean, I would have been in the mental institution a long time ago.
Now, does she, when you're out, like, as friends, does she joke around with you?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, we
so
tease
it's
each
not
other.
That it's not in her.
No, it's not.
Okay.
It's not that it's not in her.
She just chooses not to do that at
Correct.
work. Okay.
Correct.
But
when
remember,
we're out.
This is perfect. Your perfect scenario. So,
right.
Yeah.
Right. So she would relax and be a little more lighthearted.
Okay.
She would have gotten maybe some help. I don't know. I don't know what she needs.
Okay.
I truly don't know what she needs. That's where, in my way of thinking, prayer is the best.
Yeah.
So, but having some help, that's where it's a lot. It's just, and even on my light days, I'll be having a great day, and it's like, okay, I've got my work done. It's going. We get off at 4. It's going on 2 o'clock. We're gonna have our last break. I'm caught up. I'm even a little ahead with everything. 2:30 hits and wham, everything goes to crap. Okay. And 4 o'clock comes so fast that you're like, what happened? I was doing so good.
So what happens at 4 o'clock? Do you stay late?
Yeah. And then we have Tammy calling, going, get off my clock, get off my clock, get off my clock. Okay. That's something that she tells all of us, and that's enough to drive you absolutely insane. So we'd never hear that. In my miracle scenario, that would never be said ever again, because now it's, well, if there's work to be done, then stay over. Mm-mm. For over a year, you've been saying, get off my clock.
Okay.
Choose which one you want to be angry about, but you can't be angry about both. So, and it's these things, it's like, I wish I could tell her. And maybe that would be in my miracle scenario.
Okay.
That I'm actually able, I feel comfortable enough to go to her and say, if you tweak this and this, it'd be a lot better.
What would happen if you did tell her?
Did that turn off? Is that what that sound was?
No.
Okay.
What would happen if you did tell her?
She'd be very angry with me.
Okay.
And I don't do well with people being angry at me. That's where my neediness comes in. I'm a natural born caregiver or caretaker of the families. And when people are angry at me, my world is tilted. So I will do whatever I have to do to keep that person from being angry at me so I can untilt my world.
Okay.
So that's where my neurosis is.
So you would rather make everybody happy around you than
yes, because that makes me happy.
Okay.
That's when I can go.
It doesn't, because then you still have the stuff then you still have the things that are making you unhappy.
True, but I can be unhappy, but everybody else can't.
Oh, okay. That doesn't seem real fair.
Haven't you figured that out yet?
That doesn't seem fair at all.
No, at 51.
Yeah.
And after menopause is hit and everything,
yeah.
I have learned that maybe it's Tamara time. And
good.
That was one of the reasons why I was going to put my resignation in, because enough was enough. I've gotten my nails done again for the first time in 20 years.
They look very pretty.
Thank you. I'm making sure my hair is done again. I'm spending money when I go out and I see a pair of shoes that I really, really like. I'm buying it.
Okay.
I'm not saying, well, Katie or Kyle, my kids, may need that money.
Right, because they're grown.
Yeah.
It's time to.
Yeah.
Sounds like it's.
And that was another thing. During the time that I received this position with Tammy and dealing with the Tammy Glenn triangle and the menopause, and let's throw in some other things, empty nest syndrome. So then let's throw that on there. So, yeah, it was a lot of layers, a lot of things hitting at one time, and trying to get over that and trying to get through. I mean, anybody can get through a blockage one at a time.
Right.
But when you've got the block, you've got the wood fence, you've got the steel fence, you've got the dogs barking at you. It gets a bit much. You start feeling like the ninja warrior by the time you do get through it. So, but you always know you can get through it. Okay. I'll do this as long as I ignore everything that's wrong with me and everything that I want. I can do this, and that's where that's where it's like I'm not having any fun anymore.
Right, because self-care is vital.
Yes, it is.
It's vital at any age, but especially as you start getting older, you definitely got to have self-care.
Well, and it's tough because, Glenn being a double heart attack patient, he now has the defibrillator pacemaker in his chest now. And we went through a scare in December. He went and stayed in the hospital again. And so, it's one of those things. He's an alcoholic. So there's my codependency. And so I don't drink because I was raised by alcoholics all around me. Not my mom, thank God. My mom was not an alcoholic. Praise God on that one. But everybody else around me had drug addictions and alcoholism. I mean, you know this. So for me to sit and have a glass of wine and be comfortable about it, it's, again, working through layers just to take that first sip. And because I'm stressed out, trying to get through those layers, I get sick when I drink. So it's like I can't relax.
Bless your heart. Oh, you can't even relax when you're trying to relax.
Yeah, exactly. So I try to find my safe zones. My safe zones are shopping.
Mm-hmm.
I try to be very careful because I know, watching my mom, it's very easy to become addicted to that.
Mm-hmm.
So, but I like to wander around,
Mm-hmm.
and I'll pick up one thing,
Mm-hmm.
and it's like, okay. It's usually like a 99-cent, because it's so usually at Goodwill.
Uh-huh.
So I'm wandering around the Goodwill for an
Yeah.
hour and a half,
Yeah.
But that's my quiet time. That's my time. That's
Yeah.
time that I get to just
Mm-hmm.
nobody asking me questions.
Mhm.
Nobody, wanting me to fix something.
Mhm.
So I told you recently I went to the hospital.
Yes.
So
Even more reason.
Kyle and it does. It's like, because I know all this. I know
Mm-hmm.
the way that I do things is not healthy.
Mm-hmm.
I get that. But when you get stuck in a life, and I
Mm-hmm.
love everybody that's in my life.
Mm-hmm.
I love my life.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I really like it. So yeah, I'm going to try and make it work any way I can.
Yeah.
And yeah, there's some teetering going on.
Mm-hmm.
But we're balancing.
Right.
We're doing all right. And even with you,
Mm-hmm.
making sure that, I keep in touch with you.
Yeah.
My sis,
Yeah.
And it's tough because you get so engrossed in the world and just
Mm-hmm.
and you wake up one day going, oh my God, 6 months has gone by and I haven't talked to Steph. I haven't texted her. But that's the wonderful thing about best friends.
Yeah.
You can say, hey, I still love you. I
Yeah.
still hope everything's okay with you. And you're going, me too. I've been busy too, and
Yeah.
you're like, okay, we're okay.
Yeah.
But again, I went on a tangent and
No,
forgot
you're
what I was talking
fine.
about. Oh,
Well, let me ask you a question. So it's been 6 months since you had that discussion with her. On a scale of 1 to 10, 1 being nothing has changed whatsoever,
mhm.
to 10 being things are amazing since I had that conversation, where would you say you are right now from 1 to 10? If it's gotten any better.
I want to say about a 5 or a 6.
Okay, so it has gotten some better.
It actually has.
Okay.
And I do believe that's because, like I was saying earlier, I think I've changed,
Mm-hmm.
but I think she has too.
Okay.
Maybe we're learning how to deal with this dynamic relationship
Mm-hmm.
together.
Mm-hmm.
I was telling you how no matter what decision I made, it was always the wrong one. Well, I would have done this. I was having a bad day. I was irritable. And there's days that you just don't want to talk to Tamara because she's really irritable.
I think we all have those days.
Yes.
Yeah.
I was having one of those days.
Yeah.
And Tammy had to work out in the warehouse.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes when our guys are sick, not
Mm-hmm.
there, she subs in.
Mm-hmm.
She's a very strong, intelligent woman herself.
Mhm.
So she's on the forklift doing the warehouse job.
Mm-hmm.
And some people came in to do some work on the warehouse, but they had never been there before. So I had tried to explain to them how to get where she was, and they were just like, huh? And I told them, just give me a minute, I'll walk you back.
Mm-hmm.
That way you can see where you're going to be, and you can look out and you can drive your vehicles around, and you can understand what I'm saying. And he was like, oh, thank you. So grabbed my coat, because this was dead of winter, and that warehouse is 29 degrees, and my radio and everything, and I just walked them back. So she sees me walking them back, and I says, here you go. I just wanted to bring them back to you. They weren't sure where to go, so I figured it'd be easiest. Well, why didn't you just call me? Why didn't you just send them back?
Mm-hmm.
One of the guys could have done it. And I just turned around and left. Mm-hmm. And I'm mumbling. Now, my radio that I had in my pocket has a tendency, the button to stick. Mm-hmm. And I think she overheard my mumblings.
Oh.
Because I was very ticked at this point, because she said that in front of these guys. Yeah, it was very demeaning. It was very disrespectful.
Right.
It was a little humiliating. Mm-hmm. And I'm walking back going, that's right. I can't do anything right no matter what fucking decision I make. It's never the right decision. You know what? Why don't you just fire my ass and get me out of here? I don't know why I'm here anymore. Just, oh my God. And I'm bitching the whole way back to my desk, which is a little ways away. And excuse my language.
It's okay.
But that's how
It's okay.
I was so mad.
No, if that's how you felt, that's how you felt.
Her attitude for the rest of the day was, hey, Tamara, can you do this for me, please? And I was like,
so what does that show you, though? What does that show you? That she does care? I think, number one,
she does.
She does care about
Absolutely.
what you think about her, I think. I think it sounds like to me like the job is her outlet for a life that doesn't sound like that was very fun at all. And maybe this is her way of having some control.
Could be.
And she doesn't have that before.
That's exactly what I see. I see the person inside there. And that's why it upsets me. Sometimes I think it upsets me more because she does do those mean things when I know there is a kind, nice, wonderful woman back there. But she puts this armor on and it's total bitch time. And even the guys see it, but yet when she talks to them, she's sweet. Then she turns on me. Right. And there was times that when I was first starting to work there, the way she talked to Glenn, there was something there. And there's times I wonder if there's jealousy. And I'm not trying to pump myself up, but I think when she saw me and Glenn's relationship, she may have realized there's no chance in God's green earth that she would ever have a chance with Glenn. Right. And there may have been some time that she was dealing with that. Because there's always the joke of your work wife. Well, she was like his work wife. Yeah. Well, then his real wife came and started working there.
I'm sure that was difficult.
And and we have a very good relationship. I mean, even though he's an alcoholic and I want to kill him sometimes, we still have a very loving relationship. I mean, we can sit in a car for 6 hours and laugh about stupid stuff. Still, after 22 years of being married, that's just the married part. Yeah. We were together for 12 years before that. So, it's... And I think there might be some jealousy because, like I said, she's been married and divorced 4 times. Yeah. So I know there's that dynamic kind of being thrown in there. And maybe that's because I see all that. When you're a caregiver, you learn people's body language. Right. You learn their facial expressions very quickly. And it's our defense mechanism. Because if you're angry, there could be an arm being flown and struck. So we learn very quickly, at a very young age, how to not have people mad at you.
Gotcha. I hate to do this, but our time is kind of running short. And I don't want to forget to do this.
Okay.
Basically, this is called, it's a way to rate your anxiety, your daily anxiety. Okay. And so normally if I had a client, I would normally send, especially when I'm doing something called CBT, which is cognitive behavioral therapy. And it's just the way to say it's kind of how our thoughts affect our actions, which affect our thoughts. It's kind of like a circle. Well, what I want you to do, and then with that, they always get homework. So this is going to be like your homework. Okay. So what I want you to do is each day you're going to rate your anxiety level or your stress level, however you want to say it, from 0 to 100. Okay. Okay. And then after that, you're going to write in what your triggers were for that day. Okay. And it's just basically for us to keep like a week's worth of records on what your triggers were, and so you can kind of see, well, if there's the triggers are the same each day. Okay. And see what level affects what trigger, what level of anxiety matches what trigger. So okay. So I'll give that to you. And then the other thing is, I just had one more question before we close out. Let me just make sure I understood everything too. Not everything, because we don't have time for everything. But, but I did the last part of it because I just want to. I'm kind of concerned about this. Is that you all had a conversation 6 months ago? You did say it improved. It has improved at least up to a 5 or 6 on the scale of 10. Are you still wanting to leave? Are you still?
There are times.
Okay.
There are times.
Okay.
But now it's at this point. I was very well contemplating about going to my mom's job, but I would have been right back into square one.
Okay.
Do you know what I mean? I mean, now I've got, instead of my husband, now I'm working with my mom.
Right.
And I don't want to be there. So now it's, what do I want to be when I grow up? Well, I've grown up. Okay. What do I want to be?
Well, I'm glad that you said that, because that's the other part of your homework. Because I want you to write in a journal. Do you have a journal?
No.
You don't, because you need to get a journal.
Okay.
Normally I would have had one to give to my clients, but
that's okay.
Sorry. So we'll pretend I'm handing her a journal.
Thank you.
So in your journal too, I want you to write about when you get home from work. Just take 10 minutes. You go outside to smoke or whatever. Take your pen with you and write about how your day was, and if you could be doing anything. Think about that miracle question. What would it be if you woke up the next day and you go to everything's perfect and it would be your miracle job?
It changes like every month.
Okay.
1 month I want to do this. 1 month I want to do that. Next month, I mean, I've literally gone from being an IT person to, what was the one? A masseuse.
Okay.
I mean, it just, I'm everywhere, and that's where it's like,
yeah. So. Well, write it and see if it'll work itself out.
Maybe it'll come together.
So I'm sorry I didn't have more time to talk to you a little bit, but this is awesome. So, thank you.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.